On June 14th of 1969, the 6-year-old Dennis Martin was vacationing in the Great Smoky Mountain of Tennessee with his father, grandfather, and his 9-year-old brother. They arrived in the area and spent the night in a cabin. On the second day, they started their hike and were playing in the fields. As the whole family was sitting on the grass and playing, another family with the same last name as Martin asked to join the group so their kids could play with the boys. At first, the kids were sneaking up on adults playfully and enjoying their time. Then they decided to play hide and seek. It was at this point that Dennis disappeared. The time was 3:30. He was 50 feet apart from his father and grandfather before his disappearance. Dennis's father started to get worried when his son didn't show up after 5 minutes. The group started to search for him, and within several hours there were around 100 searchers in the area. In a strange event, another family with the name of Key from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. was in the area 5 to 7 miles from where Dennis disappeared on the same day he went missing. They asked the rangers where they can see some bears, and the ranger showed them the area. In an interview, the Key family stated when they arrived in the area, they heard an enormous sickening scream. Mr. Key also stated after traveling half a mile in the area, he saw a man trying to hide in the bushes. It's worth mentioning that Mr. Key didn't know at the time that Dennis was missing and found out about it later in the newspaper, and wanted to share the information with the FBI. The search for Dennis was one of the biggest searches in the US to date. There were helicopters, dogs, and hundreds of volunteers searching for Dennis. By June 21st, a week after Dennis's disappearance, there were around 1,400 searchers, including the military personnel helping with the search. FBI was involved in the case as well, although they never did a full investigation on the case since they claimed there was no evidence of foul play. When Mr. Key volunteered to come to the national park and explain what he had seen, the FBI agent Jim Reich, who was in charge of this case and few other missing cases, met with him outside of National Park and talked to him. There is nothing to show what had been said between the two. This FBI agent committed suicide few months after Dennis's disappearance. Dennis was never found. In June of 1995, the 37-year-old Jean Hasseltrott was living with her partner Mike in Arlington, Massachusetts. The couple had been dating for 10 years and just got engaged. All the family and friends said it was a good and loving relationship. They decided to take a trip to Sierra Nevada to enjoy the nature and some beautiful sights. During the trip, they stopped near Lake Tahoe, where they joined Sierra Club, who took the couple in, and they spent the week there. Everything went well during the week, and the couple decided to go to Yosemite National Park to see its beauty firsthand. They reached the park at 10 a.m. in July 9th and kept driving until they reached near Summit Meadow. The road that they were driving is very desolate and is only open in summer. There is absolutely no traffic on this road for most of the year. The couple got off the car and decided to take a short hike and meet up in 15 minutes at a designated location. Both took off in different directions, and in 15 minutes Mike reached the location they agreed upon, but Jean wasn't there. He waited a bit longer than 20 minutes, but his partner didn't show up. He panicked and started to search the area and kept shouting her name with no response. After 15 minutes of searching, Mike went to the nearest national park employee and asked for assistance. At 12:30 p.m., there were park rangers in the area searching for Jean, and after 2 hours, they asked for additional assistance. There were 100 searchers and 8 different dog teams in the area. The park system claimed they never had a bear or lion attacks in this park. Searchers found two clear boot tracks in the area that belonged to Jean. One was close to where she went missing and another one was crossing the largest trail in the national park. That didn't make sense, because why a lost person would cross a trail and not take it when she knew it would eventually lead her to a safe space? All the dogs that were brought to the area never were able to pick up a scent and follow any path. One of the dog handlers believed Jean was never in the area and that Mike was hiding something. Later on, Mike took a polygraph test to determine if he was lying or not. He passed all of them without any questions. The family of Jean was so frustrated with no findings that they asked FBI for assistance and they agreed. FBI involvement proved they suspected something criminal in nature may have occurred. FBI didn't find anything, or at least didn't make it public. On September 3rd of the same year, around 2 months after Jean's disappearance, two friends were fishing 3/4 of a mile from where Jean disappeared. As they were walking on the side of the river, they came across a human body in the water. It was identified later that was Jean. They notified the park service and the body was pulled out. It was obvious that the body was in the water for weeks. The area they found the body is very rugged and desolate. The body was completely nude except socks and one boot. The park service said the body couldn't get where it was found through water since there are very large blocks on the way. Why Jean didn't take the trail when she crossed it and how she eventually died remains a mystery to this day. The Baker family were from New York and decided to take a vacation in the summer of 1937 to Bald Mountain Cabin 5 miles north of Bennington, Vermont. It's a rugged area with lots of trees and thick vegetations. The family had 3 children, with Alice being the youngest with 20 months old. In the afternoon of August 16, 1937, Mrs. Baker needed to go to a neighbor's house and left Alice alone for 10 minutes. When she came back, she couldn't find her. She immediately started searching the area and shouting her name with no result. She ran back to the neighbor's house and asked for assistance. Then they called the authorities. After 2 days of intense search and not finding a single trace of Alice, the law enforcement made a statement that someone might have kidnapped her. In the following days, the weather temperature got really cold and made the law enforcement to state Alice could not possibly have survived the cold and exposure of the past 2 nights. Searchers were still looking for Alice in the area and they had help from canine dogs as well. The searching dogs couldn't pick up a scent. The search for Alice was going to be terminated on August 20th when the search group heard a moaning sound close to a used logging road. They walked towards the sound and found Alice sitting under a spruce tree. The girl was naked and sitting on her one-piece blue sunsuit. Doctors examined the girl and stated she will be fine in a couple of days. There was no further comment on her being dehydrated or hungry. How Alice survived 4 nights of cold weather in the mountain cabin of Vermont remains a mystery to this day.